This. Dave Masovich, thank you so much for being part of the Visibility Podcast. It's great to have you on today.
Thanks for having me.
I am super excited to learn from you as a marketer myself. I just, of course, gravitate to my fellow marketers, and we're going to dive deep into what you do, who you serve, and how you do what you do and makes you stand out. But before we dive into that
Mhm.
fun stuff, I would love for you just to share a little bit who you are, where you are coming in from, and a little bit of your story on how you got to where you are.
Well, first, I want to say I love your podcast. I love the show. I've listened to a number of your guest pods, but also I think the one was mainly you telling stories, which I enjoyed that one the most.
Mm.
So, fellow podcaster, it's great to
Yes.
work with someone like you. My background is that I was kind of fortunate growing up that my parents pushed me to do whatever I was passionate about. And so I ended up turning that into things that I could make money from. So I ended up being a DJ both on radio stations. I did some TV work and print work, but also then formed my own DJing business. And all of that started to form while you're a teenager, thinking about how am I going to get someone to read an article that I wrote or listen to me on a radio station or dance and move when I'm DJing. And all of that is tied to the psychology of human behavior. So I ended up doing that in college and got marketing background and then started out doing a turnaround. I stumbled into a turnaround of two radio stations I worked at that had gone bankrupt and were taken over by the credit union that had given their biggest loan that they defaulted on.
Mm.
So imagine these two radio stations that had all these pictures on the wall of artists, and it was just a cool hip type atmosphere. That I come back from college to do my shift, and there's a credit union flag and the US flag, and all the posters of the artists were
Mm.
taken down, and they tried to make it like a bank. And they couldn't get anyone to really take the job. In the arrogance of ignorance, I took over the job to lead the turnaround, and just practiced what I had been taught in college in my instincts. Because again, the arrogance of ignorance, I didn't know any better. Like
Right. Yeah.
did things that I look back and I go, like early in my career, I did these things. I'm like, I would not do that now because
Yeah. But
and you said the one thing on one of your podcasts, you said how when you start out at business, it's the perfect time because
yes.
you just do.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I did. I just did. I just did what was instinctual and it worked. No, it was because of a great team
Right.
of people, but it
Yeah.
worked. And, that led to me getting more and more involved in turnarounds and then kind of stumbled into healthcare. And that led to a lot of different work. And then I ended up forming my own company. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version.
I love it. I just back on that innocence, that oblivious, eyes wide open, all the energy. You just go
Yes.
for it. And I miss those days a little bit of just like not being so second,
Yes.
because we know better a little bit. Sometimes I feel like I don't. I'm like, oh, just go back to those innocent days of trying it. But there's that energy and that innocence and that fun, and you
Yes.
have nothing to lose, really. Now stakes are a little higher as you've been in business longer. So tell us a little bit about your business now,
Hmm.
your BS marketing, your mass solutions. So tell us about
Yes.
that. You have a
So,
book too.
so, so Mass Solutions is a strategic marketing consultancy that also does storytelling at the highest level. So we do some of the things that a digital marketing, marcom firm, a marketing communications firm might do, some things that an agency might do, but where we're really different is we're a marketing consultancy that leverages the behavioral science to drive the creative art. And it's all about the word growth. So everything that we talk about is personal growth for the person we're working with, professional growth for the people we're working with, but revenue growth, both top and bottom line growth. We're that rare marketing firm that talks a lot about EBITDA from the day we walk in the door. We talk a lot
Mm.
about gross margin and break even analysis, and we talk a lot about the sales team. And we use predictive index to help with your sales team, all these different things to take it to drive the results for the growth.
Okay, for those of you that glazed over, because honestly, if I was listening and listening to those words, I would have glazed over a little bit.
Correct.
But no, no, no. This is getting to what you do is so, so important. because we're going to talk about that tactical marketing and the strategic marketing.
Yes.
And I want you to just talk a little bit about that. I'm not sure where to put. I have my great questions here, and we talk about that, what that difference is, because when a small business owners think about marketing, we think more, I think, tactical, and you
Yes.
really drive the strategic. So, and that's what I'm really helping my clients with
Yes.
too, is that
Yes.
strategic growth, and that's what I get
Yes.
so excited about. So, tell
Yes.
us what that means to the listener.
Well, I think some of your listeners are probably marketers and some are
Hmm.
small business owners and maybe medium-sized and large business owners. So for marketers out there, here's what I would say. I'm passionate about us not getting thrown in the box that many leaders throw us in. And they throw marketers in a box that, oh, they're over there to execute and make it look pretty. They're going to make it pop and they're going to go and take care of that. And so I'm here for you because I lived that and I watched that. And some of it's our fault. Some of it we got to get better at. And that's why terms like EBITDA need to be understood by everyone in marketing. But uh, that's what I'm really all about is because leaders don't quite understand marketing because many times the leaders came up through operations or finance. And so when they came up through operations or finance, they don't look at marketing as what it is. They look at marketing as to help sales, when what it is marketing drives sales. And so if you have the bias that marketing is there to be subservient to sales, you'll do okay, but you aren't going to be the peak performer in the market. The peak performer in the market understands that marketing is about understanding your customers, defining them, and going out and reaching them and influencing them to ultimately increase sales. And
Hmm.
that's the big thing that I push marketers to talk differently.
Hmm.
Don't talk as if like, yes, I can make that a good social post. That's important and you should talk
Hmm.
that way, but you should talk in this way. That's this way, this content we're creating is going to reach our target, make them move and buy. And it's going to
Hmm.
increase sales or it's going to increase retention of our employees because
Hmm.
we did this post about our employees and our team.
Hmm.
Talk that way instead of being put in that box because when you're put in that box, you're judged by subjective things. Oh, that one didn't look good.
Hmm.
That's
Or it didn't
subjective.
perform well, or it didn't get the views.
Yes.
Yes.
That didn't,
Yes.
that didn't, why'd this one get more impressions? Why'd they like
Hmm.
that? And then someone from a financial background just goes, who cares about
Who
how many
cares?
likes?
Exactly.
And you want to be, you want to be able to tell the story in a way that drives growth.
Hmm. So, for those of you listening, you all probably can feel and see this and understand that, understand the importance. We understand that okay, a lot of you are social media. We're doing the stuff that needs to get visible, okay, visible for our business. But my goal when I work with a client is always, yeah, we can get that because the client is hiring me for that visibility. They want their brand
Yes.
out there. And so
Yep.
they're excited when they see the traction and the engagement and the views. But I'm like, but did it help your revenue? Did it help your bottom
Correct.
line? And then they don't know. And so then I'm like, I really want to dive deeper and do this. So, as business owners, we often experience quick growth early on, and that's because we're starting from nothing, right? But then we hit a plateau. And most business owners will assume they need more marketing and they will try different things, try more platforms. What's actually happening in that stalled growth phase, and what should leaders be looking at instead?
So the stall growth cycle happens just because of what you just described is people begin to implement tactics and they didn't begin with the end in mind and say, what did I want from that tactic? And they also didn't hear from the different target audiences. So let's say you're a small business, and I tell small businesses all the time, you can do it yourself, and that's what you are. You're a do-it-yourselfer. If you're a smaller business, you love the do-it-yourself, and it happens to all of us. And we get to a point where we realize maybe I need to farm some things out, but I'm here to make sure I can help someone if they don't have a budget or they're not to the point where they can afford a mass solution. You need to be able to ask open-ended questions and track the qualitative responses because then you've gathered some research, you've gathered some insights. So it can be as simple as saying, I'm going to ask clients three questions. customers or clients 3 questions, and I'm going to do it as often as I can. And going to keep it on my phone in a notes app
Mhm.
and just type up what it is. I'm giving you the bare bones for someone that's a small business and doesn't have a budget. And one of the questions is, what was the first reason you started buying from us? What was the first reason you started coming here? What was the first
Mhm.
reason you started using us? And the reason you ask that is because you'll sometimes find interesting things. Like I've found people will say, well, we bought Massachusetts client, I'm doing this for my client. We
Mhm.
bought your client because my cousin worked there.
Mhm.
So then the follow-up question is, what's the reason you buy today? Now, those are two different answers many of the time. Sometimes it'll be the same answer, but you need to get through that and make sure it's not because my sister was at the company and I bought from you guys for 5 years and we haven't fired you yet. That's important to know. Then when you follow up and say, why do you still buy us now? They'll tell you things that you often didn't expect. Well, you guys don't screw up. All right, that's okay. We'd rather it be something great, but we're not screwing up. Or you guys actually pick up, you guys respond to my email, pick up my phone calls. Okay. So sometimes we're going to hear what we don't necessarily want to hear. Like we'd want to hear, like you and I would want to hear that we were fantastic at telling the
Right.
story. But
Mhm.
some people might say, well, you're someone I feel I can trust. That's great. That's awesome. But that
Mhm.
doesn't tie to what your end result was, but that's something you maybe want to tell in your story. So it's
Mhm.
why'd you first start working with us? Why do you work with us today?
Mhm.
Then what's the one thing that makes us unique? All of these are sound the same, but they're giving them a chance to answer it differently. And then, of course, the tough one we have to ask, and we have to say, what's one thing you'd change? Now, those 4 questions are enough for anyone. I don't care if you own a
Mhm.
pharmacy, a pizza shop, you're a speaker, or you're an accounting firm, or you're all the way up to the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center health system that I helped build that's a 33
Yeah.
billion with a bead company. Those
Mhm.
4 questions can matter to any range of those companies.
Mhm.
And you take that and you have to then quickly, within an hour or so, so it's fresh, type it in somewhere. So it's not just your biases because you're going to
Mhm.
remember what you want to remember, but by typing it into your notes app on your phone,
Mhm.
I'm giving you the most primitive way to do it. You can now look back over the course of 30, 45, 60 days of talking to 15, 20 people, and you're
Mhm.
going to see 3 or 4 trends.
Yep.
That's what you work on, and that's what you include in your story.
And that, you guys, that is gold. That is gold. Um, I recently just did this again. Correct me. I find that I've had my brick and mortar for 17 years, and I've done this at different stages of my business because as we grow, we kind of hit a stall and then we grow again and then we hit a stall. And it come for me, being a marketer, and wanting to add different products or services to what we do. Is this really serving the client? So this is a way to test
Yes,
what products or services are going to
yes,
do well in your business, but this is so, so helpful. And um, what I learned is some of the things that I'm maybe not proud of or think is a big deal is actually what's really important to my client. And
yes,
that was eye-opening because I was like, oh, you like the small setting. You like that we know everything about you.
yes,
We know about grandma, we know about your dog. We know, and we pick up the phone. That was another one that came
yes,
through. And I was like, huh, okay, how can we build that in our messaging so that we're connecting to other amazing
yes.
people like these people?
Yes, I call that the Seinfeld storytelling approach. What we think is nothing is actually something.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're
So,
so in the weeds with it that we don't
yeah.
we don't see it. We don't see
Yeah, the
it.
Seinfeld show was supposed to be about nothing when we all know it was about us. It was about everything. And what you think is nothing is something. The things that you think is that you take for granted. And many of people listening, what they do well, they take for granted.
Oh, abs yeah.
So they don't even think that that was something special. But the average person that's their customer is thinking that's amazing. Well, we're over here talking about this thing we think is spectacular. They're over here thinking this thing we do force of habit and they think it's amazing. So what we think
Mhm.
is nothing is actually something.
hmm Now, you gave us some really great questions there that anybody
Yeah.
can take home and run with, and you can
Yes.
do that. Now, I've heard you on different platforms talk about six categories where to ask these questions. Like, what's that
Yes.
next level? Like, if
Yes. I
Master
think
Solutions was coming in.
so. I talk a lot about the six right fit target markets, and within each of these six, there's some ways to drill down with demographics and psychographics. But people look past a couple of these, and as soon as I say them, everyone will nod, but they aren't intentionally targeting them. And so it's obvious that we intentionally target new clients or new customers.
Hmm.
We all fixate on that.
Yeah.
But where we really have a gold mine is our existing customers and past customers, because when we talk to them, the existing ones will buy more and the past ones will come back. So the first target market is the one that's obvious to all of us. We're all out trying to get new customers, but it's a heck of a lot easier to get business from an existing customer or a past customer. So that's the second of the six. And then the third is current employees because we need to target them to keep them and we need to make sure that they're de facto members of our sales team. So current employees and then prospective employees, we neglect prospective employees. They need to be marketed to in the same way that current and past customers are. We need to be pitching ourselves on a daily basis to someone that isn't, even when we're not looking to hire, we want people to think of us as a place they'd like to work. So that's the fourth target audience. And then the fifth one is referral sources or centers of influence, people that can connect us with others, new ones, and then current ones. That's the sixth one is current ones. So we all have current centers of influence or current referral sources who have sent someone to us. And we don't think of them in a systematic way, the way we do our marketing for our clients we want to get. So we should be talking to those current referral sources, thanking them, telling them how to tell our story, but then also get lookalikes. Say, oh, well, Sean, the client I was on the phone with today, was referred by a friend of mine, Sean. Well, Sean is in this field and Sean does this and Sean's style is this. Sean and I connected well because of this. Who's another Sean? Oh, Suzanne. Why don't I talk to Suzanne and see if I can create Suzanne into a Sean? So those are the six target markets that you have. All of us have those six. We need to take those six and drill them down specifically for us.
Hmm. Hmm. I'm just thinking my wheels are turning. I hope you guys are too. I I think about this one, and the one that really zings me is my employees.
Mhm.
Because your employees are the big time. I mean, they're the replication of you, they're the duplication of you. And how often do we put out a hire notice? We're hiring, or hey, who do you know? I do ask my best people, my best clients or employees, like, who do you know? Because we want another one of you.
Yes.
But to really interview that employee and like, why are you here? Why do you stay here? Why did you come on board? And why are you staying here? And getting those nuggets so that I
Yes.
then can like communicate that out when we're searching for people.
Well,
So
think
it's
about this.
brilliant.
Think about this. Those same four questions that you asked that I mentioned at the beginning, they can be asked of employees.
Yeah.
What made you want to work here?
Yeah.
Why do you stay?
Why do you stay? That's
What
huge.
what's the one thing that makes us unique to work for?
What would you change?
And what's
I
the
don't
one
like
thing you
that one.
change? And then they'll say money, and then you have to say this. You have to immediately say, well, and one, let them say money, and then say, okay, I understand. I want to make more money too. We all do. What after money? What after compensation? Oh, well, one place told me that we did this for them. We went out and talked to their employees, and one person said, "Well, there's not a doorstop, and when we have to, it was a funeral home, and they said when we have to move the caskets in, we have to nudge with our butt, and we're moving the." Then I said, so I come into the next meeting, and I'm drama. I come in the next meeting with the doorstop, and I go, "Hey, I'm here to tell you one of my first solutions," and I throw the doorstop down across the conference room to the CEO and a couple other people, and they're, yeah. I said, you need doorstops at all your locations. They go, what? And I tell
Oh.
the story and they were like baffled. I'm like, it's the
And now
little
you have an
things.
employee for life because of that doorstop. Oh my gosh. Oh, you guys, it's so true, right?
Yes.
I find it interesting what my employees are motivated by. They are not motivated necessarily by money. I'm motivated highly by money, but they are not. And
Right.
learning that in the interview process, but then connecting with them for this. So this is just so much gold for me. So thank you, Dave, for being on the podcast here.
Sure.
Um, so one last question. You said that many organizations waste 40 to 60% of their marketing spend. What waste, where is that waste actually coming from? And what is the no BS way to fix it?
Okay,
Sorry,
so
kind
in
of
the
butchered
midst of
that.
the stall growth cycle, what they've done is they have not done the research. They've not done the analysis of their own data, which is gold. Because if you look in your closet, uh, 20% of the clothes are what you wear 80% of the time. If I go in those cabinets behind you, 20% of the food is what you eat 80% of the time. That's how humans are wired. And the same thing happens with all of our businesses, including mine. And so we have to go look at that and say, well, what's going on? And is this the right 20% generating my
Yes.
80%? And who are the lookalikes of the 20%? So when you do those two things, the questions that I mentioned, so a bigger company is going to bring someone in like us, and we're going to go talk to 50, 60, 75 people, and we're going to go analyze the data with our IP. But you can do it yourself, and you'll probably get 70% there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so the stall growth cycle happens because you haven't done those two things. So then
Mm-hmm.
you're guessing at what you want to do. So you start trying things. And you say, well, I'm going to try LinkedIn ads. And then what happens is you try it and you get frustrated because after the first 2 or 3 months, nothing happened. You think I'm spending all this money. So then you try something else. And we tend to, and all of us, including you and I, even though we're the people helping others, we
Mm-hmm.
all end up jumping from thing to thing. And that's where that 40 to 60% came into play, is because you didn't do the work of doing the insight gathering from those 6 target audiences, studying your own data, and building a growth plan, then sticking with it and saying, we selected these 3 or 4 mediums and we're going to stick
Mm-hmm.
with them instead of jumping around and just picking something for whatever reason. That's where the 40 to 60% comes from, is it's waste on what we're doing, and then it's not spending where we should be. So it's doing the insights, studying the data, building the plan, building the right story, and then sticking with the mediums or channels that you chose.
You said two big things there. Um, when as business owners, we want to, it's hard to slow down. And at first, this is a slow down method in
Yes.
the fact that they're hiring you because we want more growth, we want more clients, we want more revenue, more profitability. And I'm thinking you're coming in saying, hold, we're going to come back and kind of peel back the curtain a little bit and
Yes.
find out this stuff, this goodness, and then create a plan. And then, okay, so that's the first part. Okay, we have to peel that back,
Yeah.
look under the hood. That takes a little bit of time. Then we create a plan. Okay, now the next hurdle is sticking with it.
Yes.
And that's where I think that's the other obstacle is maybe we're not seeing it quick enough
Yes.
and we divert and then it's you might as well not
That's
even
it.
do it. So
That's it. And
how do you
there's a
yeah.
phrase I used. I've coached basketball for decades, and I use a phrase: "Slow is fast."
Yes.
And only a select few get that when I'm coaching them. And they tend to be the ones that are the most skilled, because if you're skilled at a sport, you understand what I'm saying. Slow is fast. Like the game slowed down for me. And as a coach, it slows down for me. I can
Mm.
see and I'll shout out what's going to happen. And so I can say to a player that gets it, slow is fast. I would say that same thing to a business owner: slow is fast. When we start moving 100 miles an hour, we don't pull back and read and react and take the breath and get the insights. So slow is fast.
Mhm. Yes. In dance, as a dancer, as well. Like I experienced even in my 40s growth by going back to those foundational things and
Yes.
just really working on those
Yes.
foundational things. And how did I do that? It wasn't because I wanted to be a better ballet dancer. It's because I ended up teaching a lot of the beginner
Yes.
level classes. So then I'm
Yeah.
executing these beginner foundation things over and over, teaching
Yeah.
them, finding different ways to say the same dang thing and exercises to execute cleaner. And guess what happened with me? And I was like, oh, I'm able to hold that position longer and whatever. And telling my boys who are athletes, like the best way to become better is to teach somebody under you who needs
Yes,
to
for
grow.
sure. For
So
sure.
as you do that, you then become better at seeing, and everything, like you said, slows down, and you just feel.
I'll go back and teach a marketing 101 class every now and then because of what you just said. I'll be on like chapter 4 and go, we haven't done that one in a while.
Exactly. And we still get a kick out of it. It's like,
Yes.
huh, I
Yes.
should probably do that one again. Yeah. So we're coming in as experts here, but
Yeah.
we all are constantly refining and getting
Yes.
better. And I hope you see that. Dave's got such a beautiful energy of sharing and saying that we're all in this together. We're all getting better. We're all improving. So when people want to work with you, or how can people work with you, and what do you have to offer people to take their business to the next level?
Sure. Well, there's one thing that I want to offer that anyone can do. It doesn't matter the size of the company. We work with individual speakers. We've worked with individual wealth managers, all the way up to multi-billion-dollar companies on this with their leadership teams. And it's what I call prepared presence. What we intend to convey isn't what happens with our messaging, it's what
Mhm.
they interpret. So our intention isn't necessarily what they interpret unless we bring meaning to it. And so leaders often don't realize that when they tell their team below them something, it wasn't interpreted the way they intended, and then it doesn't get to the next level. So we focus on prepared presence for individuals and leadership teams. And that's something we can work with anybody on. It's our prepared presence program, which helps you define your meaning and convey your meaning as a leader. Because
Mhm.
what leaders do is they hand off marketing. Remember when I started and said we get put in a box? They hand us off and say, that's taken care of by Melissa. Now, let me go on
Mhm.
to the real stuff. I'm going to talk to the CFO about the real stuff. I'm going to pull the
Yeah.
COO in about the real stuff while they're over there taking care of that. Leaders cannot delegate meaning. And so, any leader out there and your leadership team, we help you not delegate meaning. We help you define meaning, convey meaning through prepared presence. So
Mm.
that's one thing. The second thing is our growth accelerator program. Our growth accelerator program is the full ball of wax of what you and I were talking about. It has the insights gathering at step one, where we analyze your data with what we call the Pareto Principle plus. Pareto Principle being 80% of your customers come from 20%. We have that. We put the plus by it because we build IP around it. And then, and we've been doing it for 30 years. And then we have the insights that I told you with the questions and going out and talking to people. We do that, then we build your big idea tagline and your supporting storytelling pillars and your growth plan. And then we help you execute it. We work with you and your team to execute that wherever you need help. If you have someone that's great at social, fine. If you have somebody you have your own, one client I just started working with said they have their own videographer, but they want one of our team members to be a creative director for that person. So we do and execute through the whole way. And our growth accelerator has been proven to grow sales by at least 20% or more
Mhm.
when people work with us on that over the course of a year, year and a half.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And you have a book as well.
Yes, number one Amazon bestseller.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's called No Bullshit Marketing.
Yes.
And I'll tell one story around that. So
Please do.
whenever you write a book, they tell you, hey, there's you can pick three categories to see what your book would get ranked in. And so I had a consultant working with me on that, and they said, hey, listen, these two you'll probably get ranked somewhere. You might even get to number one, but this third one's the one that's the general one. You'll be going up against all the heavy hitters. We're going to put you on these three. Well, the first two we soared to number one pretty quickly on. They were segmented lists. The other one we got to number two, and I'm telling my mom, I took a screen grab and I said, no, mom, dad, listen, you don't know who Malcolm Gladwell is, but this is a big deal.
It is a
This
big
screen grab
deal.
it. I'm number two to Malcolm Gladwell. And they're like, oh, okay.
Oh, I heard that and I smiled big because I would be too, like, big deal.
So that's the book.
Congrats on that. That's a big deal.
And
Congrats.
for anyone on your show, if they reach out, I'll sign a book for them.
Awesome.
And as a gift to them and you, I'll sign a book
Thank
for
you.
them.
Thank you so much. Yes. All right. So, tell people how to get a hold of you, to find you.
So My main social channel, I focus on one where I'm comfortable with, and I often strive to people. If you want to be on more than one, get someone that's an expert like you, Melissa. I focus on LinkedIn with me and my team, so I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit, and it's Dave Masovich on LinkedIn, and then I also have a personal website, uh, davemastovich.com. But then I also have masssolutions.biz.
Mhm.
And so Dave at masssolutions.biz is my email. If anyone wants
Mhm.
to shoot me an email, ask me any questions, or if they want to take me up on my book offer, they can do that.
Please do, you guys. Please do. There's nothing more supportive than getting a book from somebody, writing a review for them, and helping them get their word out even more. We'll have everything here linked up in the show notes. What's one last thing you would like to say to the visibility community, Dave?
I'd say be intentional about the fact that marketing is more than the end result. People
Mm,
think that it's the telling about part. Oh, that's what marketing is. It's telling about marketing is finding out what the people want, developing it, and giving it to them when and where they want it at a price they're willing to pay, and then telling them about it.
mhm.
So I want everybody to be intentional about that so we as marketers can be elevated to the status that we deserve.
Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for your work in the world. Thank you for sharing it. I learned a lot from you, and I'm excited to share this out to the community. So
Thanks
thank
for
you.
having me. Thank
Yes,
you.
everybody. All right, everybody. If you enjoyed this, please go find him on LinkedIn and give him a message. He would love that. Or you can do the same with me. All right. We love hearing from you. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you here, same time, same place next week. Peace. Bye bye.